This video is about in-text citations. These are also referred to as parenthetical citations because they're in parentheses. So the website I'm on right now is Purdue Owl, there. And you can type that in and you can come up with this whole guide for in-text citations. In MLA style, referring to the works of others in your text is done by using parenthetical citations. That means they're in parentheses. The source information required in a parenthetical citation depends on the source medium, so if it's print or web or DVD, it's going to look different, and upon the source's entry in your works cited page. Any source information that you provide in text must correspond to the source information on your works cited page. So whatever signal word or phrase you provide to your readers in the text must be the first thing that appears on the left-hand margin of the corresponding entry. So, for example, Wordsworth stated that romantic poetry was marked by a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. So you're going to have your author, okay, and then a page number. This is for an actual book with pages. So the author is Wordsworth. Here is the quote, and there's the page number where that quote is found, okay. Romantic poetry is characterized by the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. This one, they worded it differently. Right here, they told you the author as part of the sentence and then put the page number in parentheses. This one, it didn't have the author's name in the sentence, so they had to put it down here, Wordsworth, and then the page number in parentheses. Wordsworth extensively explored the role of emotion in the creative process. Okay, this one's not direct quoting it, but you're saying what Wordsworth did, and then there's the page number where that happened. So that is a paraphrase, includes that as well. And then if you look at what the bibliography entry looks like, Wordsworth, the person's last name comes first, then Williams. So that is the word that you're going to have to use, whatever is the first word in your bibliography entry. That's what you're going to have to use when you cite that. Alright, if there are unknown authors, that goes for all of that. In-text citations for print sources by corporate author with no known author. So you're going to put if you don't know the author, then you're going to put the name of the article on there because that is what will come first in your bibliography. Author page citation, classic and literary works. Author page citation for works in anthology. So on this one, they have the page number and the chapter number. Alright, so citing authors with the same last name. If you have two authors with the same last name, on this one, he has two authors named Miller. So for the one, he put R. Miller, and for the other one, A. Miller. Okay, so that you can differentiate between which one it is. Works by multiple authors, you're going to use both of their last names. Or down here, that's in the signal phrase where it tells you Best and Marcus argue that one should read the text for what it says on its surface rather than looking for some hidden meaning. They say that on page 9. It's a book by two different authors right there. In this one, the authors claim that the surface reading looks at what is evident, perceptible, apprehensible in text, and then it has Best and Marcus there. Okay. Alright, citing multiple works from the same author, you have to make sure that you have, so lighters argue computers, blah, 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 for small children, too soon. Okay, so he, instead of putting the last name of the person, he put the name of the article there. In this one, the name of the article. Now, you guys might run into that if you're using that president's page. A lot of those articles were by the same author, so if you're looking at more than one article on a president and they're both by the same author, you're going to have to differentiate which article you're looking at, okay? So multi-volume work, citing the Bible. You guys probably didn't do that much, but you're just going to put the book and then the chapter and the verses. If you're citing something that someone else cited, so indirect sources. So this would be like if in the article it quoted someone else and you wanted to use that quote, you're going to put quoted in Wiseman 259 or whatever it is. So you have to put quoted and then their page number. And that's just abbreviated as QTD. And then internet sources. So this is probably the ones you guys are going to be using the most. For the internet source, you're going to include in the text the first item that appears in the works cited entry that corresponds to the citation. All right, so sometimes writers get confused with how to craft parenthetical citations for electronic sources because of the absence of page numbers. However, these sorts of entries often do not require a page number in your parenthetical citation, so you don't need a page number. Do not provide paragraph numbers or page numbers based on your web browser's preview function. So you don't have to have a page number on there if it's a web source because there aren't separate pages. Don't include the URL in the text unless you must list the website's name in the signal phrase in order to get the reader to the appropriate entry. Do not include the URLs in text. Only provide partial URLs, such as when the name includes, for example, like CNN, Forbes, whatever. But you don't have to include that if you have an author. So it's better to have an author. Let's see, so here's an example. Electronic source may include the web page and online news or magazine articles. So one online film critic stated that Citations has become notorious, blah, blah, blah. And then there is the author's name and the name of the article. Okay. In this one, they just put the name of the article in parentheses there. So the Purdue Owl is accessible to millions of users every year. Its MLA formatting style guide is one of the most popular resources. It didn't have to put in anything in parentheses because you don't need page numbers. Okay, so let's look at somebody's paper. All right, so when you were doing this, I had told you to, when you're writing your draft, just to put like your source number in parentheses after each citation. So his source number is 2 right here. And then he actually put the person's name right there. To fix that, I'm going to look down here and I see the first signal word right here after this 2 is Milkus. Okay, that's the person's last name. That's all you need in that parenthetical citation. Okay, so then sadness struck when 2 days later Roosevelt's mother died of typhoid fever and his wife died of kidney disease within a few hours of each other and in the same house. So we don't need that 2. That can go. And we don't need the word Sydney. That can go. And that has been cited properly. Okay, that's all you have to do. Alright, let's see if there's any more direct quotation. Here's another one, so we can get rid of that. Go. Alright, let's see if there's any more. Okay, so you need to have at least 5 citations if you're using someone else's ideas. Even if you're not direct quoting them, it needs to be in there. Like, right, let's see. Back up here at the first. Just when they were using the person's ideas, they cited it. So, Wordsworth extensively explored the role of emotion in the creative process. That has the page number. You don't need that. So, as long as you have the author's name, you're okay. But I would consider that as a citation. You're using a source. Oh, and your period needs to go after the parentheses. So, let's fix that. Where did that go? Let's see. So, instead of the period being there, oops, it needs to go here. Go. And this one needs to go there. Oh, that's bothering me. There we go. Alright, so now those are cited properly. So you need to make sure that you cited all your sources, and hopefully you put at least your source number next to each source. So he's got all these sources that he has not cited. These are useless here. We need them to, oh, okay. Never mind, we have to do more than that. We have to fix these number 2s right here, and we have to make that say that in parentheses. Because that one's by the same author, that one's by the same author, that one's by the same author, that one, that one, that one. So we have a pile of them all by the same author. So this tells us if we have more than one work by the same author, If you cite more than one work by the same author, include a shortened title for the particular work from which you are quoting to distinguish it from the others. Put short titles of books in italics and short titles of articles in quotation marks. Citing two articles by the same author. And there it is. So this needs to be in quotation marks. Let's go find that. And then we're going to put that in quotation marks. Alright, and it says it needs to be shortened, so let's look at what these other ones look like. Their Life of the Presidency. I'm just going to shorten that down to Life of the Presidency to differentiate it from the other ones. Get rid of that. Alright, there's that. And that fixes that. Milka's Life of the Presidency. And he could probably just put that into the sentence. So say, according to Milkus, and then the quote, and then just Life Before the Presidency would be what's in parentheses there. This one needs the same thing. And then I'm going to shorten that down. Get rid of Roosevelt. Theodore Roosevelt. And then that needs a comma. And then I will probably just try to work that into there somehow. Alright, so you also need to have something from each one of these sources that you're citing in here. If you've used their ideas, then you have to cite that in your paper. Okay? Look at another one. Okay. Somebody who has some citations here. Let's see, what do we got? Any citations on this one? Nope, no paper at all. Okay, looking for some citations, something. Okay, here we go. Who was considered criminal living in the White House? Nixon started to defend himself as the president. Okay, that whole thing probably needs to be in quotation marks. I don't see any sources being cited. Alright, so this is super duper important. You have to cite your sources when you use someone else's. Okay, so right here, that needs to go. Nixon less off than he sport. That tells that Gerald Ford was speaking on television, so that's probably fine. So it's mostly going to be things that historians are saying about a president that you find interesting, and you're going to add them in there. So anyways, that's how you do parenthetical citations. You need to have at least 5 of them in your paper. At least 3 of them need to be for direct quotes. Alright, that's it.